Once again, as you can see, I'm using my favorite screen recorder, simple screen recorder, works on the Raspberry Pi, Ubuntu, any Linux machine. I use it a lot for creating videos for people to understand what I'm doing, because very often if you put it down in words, it's not as easy as showing someone with a screen recorder. All right, that's enough of that. Now let's get on with Unit 2 of LibreOffice Writer. LibreOffice Writer, remember, is the word processor associated with LibreOffice program. So on a Raspberry Pi, we click on the Raspberry at top left. Click there and we look down here for Office, and these are all our Office programs. I'll run through them again. Base is a database management system. LibreOffice Calc spreadsheet. Office Draw is a drawing program. Flowcharts, that's really, really good. LibreOffice Impress, that is the same as PowerPoint, really. It's a project, not project, what do they call it? I don't know. It's a presentation type piece of software. LibreOffice Maths allows you to edit scientific formula and mathematical formula. And then the one we're going to use, LibreOffice Writer. So I'll click on that. Fires up, LibreOffice Writer. Now this is the second video, so just do a very, very quick recap on the first video. So here we are, the main screen of LibreOffice Writer that we looked at last time. You can see we've got the title bar, we've got all the tools readily available. We've got some extra tools down here. These are the drawing tools I use a lot. And then we got the status bar. Page 101, no words, default style, UK, and over here you can remember the different layouts of different views. They call it the layouts that we've got. And this is the zoom bar here. It's 120% zoom at the moment. Okay, that said. Now this session, I'm going to do something really simple. We're going to use the idea of cut and paste. So we're going to move text from one place to another. And to do that, I prepared some text for us to play around with, which I'll open now. So I'm going to open, I could do it several ways. I can click on open there, or I can click on file. And today I'm going to use the file drop-down menu for no other reason than it's different and we can see how to use it. So open is there, click on open. And boom, oh, these are all the other things I'm doing. So I'm going to whiz over to my documents folder. And here I'm going down to, I've created a folder called GKSS Writer. So this is all the writer stuff. Let's open that. And you can see I've got in there tips and tricks, ODT, Open Document Text. So open document format. And that's what LibreOffice uses. It also does things like the Mac pages and the Google Docs and Microsoft Office stuff. So it opens everything really. Okay, so let's open tips and tricks. It's highlighted there and we click on open. And I am waiting for it. Oh, something strange. Ah, there we are. Okay, so this was opened from a different document and I don't really like the font on it. So I'm going to change the font very quickly. Now, this is outside the scope of this session, but I'll show you anyway. If I want to quickly grab everything that's in a document, I can use a Control A. So hold the Control key down and press A. So it's a keyboard shortcut. So you can see everything now is grayed out. And all this is in Calibri, which I'm not that fond of. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to choose something else. And do you know what? I cannot think what I'm going to choose. Libre, I think. Liberation Son. Liberation Son. Son is without. French word. And there we are. It's much better. Son serif is the French for it. Liberation Son is the shortcut. And you can see there's no serifs on it. There's no fancy little bits to the T or the P or the S that you would get if you were using what is called a serif. So there we are. I've very quickly changed this to Liberation Son. So I'm going to click anywhere inside the document to get rid of the highlighting. Because at the moment, when it's highlighted, like if I press delete, everything's gone. Right, so what have we got here? Word processing guidelines. Well, that's good to have. Some important points to note about word processing in general are: number 2, never use a spacebar. You have to read that yourself. Number 5, don't confuse delete and backspace. Number 1, the proofing tools in a word processor, spell check, grammar check, should not be used exclusively as a substitute for reading through the document. So all this is pretty useful stuff. It's quite good. I would suggest that if you're doing this as an introduction to Word, you actually get the kids to read this because it's important. But now, what we can see is that it's not in the right order. We've got 2, 5, 1, 4, 3. And the object of this exercise is to put it in the right order. So we're going to show you how to do that. It's basically using a technique which is known as cut and paste. So let's get started. Word processing guidelines. I tell you what, I'll put that in bold. So I'm going to highlight it. That's simply left clicking and dragging the mouse across and going up to bold there. Boom, bold. So there we are. It stands out better. How I did that was to drag across the text I want to highlight and then clicking on bold. I won't click on it again. Well, I will. Anyway, if I click on it again, it's unbolded. So this is like a toggle. Bold it or unbold it. If I wanted to, I could make it italics. Don't really like that, so I'll get rid of the italics. You can see, and the things that are actually applied to that text at this time are grayed out. You see there's a little gray shadow around that. All the others, no grey shadow. And you can see there's a lot of things we can do. Italics, underline, strike through, superscript, like the first ST, raising it above the main script. Subscript, putting it down the bottom. If you're going to write H2O, that's quite a good example of that. And then to get rid of the direct formatting. So any formatting you've done, if you want to get rid of it, you just click on that. And then we've got some other things there. Okay, so what I've done now, I put word processing guidelines in bold. But the main task here is to get hold of this piece of text, which number 1, grab it, and I am going to cut it and move it to the position it's supposed to be in, number 1. So how do I cut it? Well, there is a pair of scissors up there. And what you usually do with a pair of scissors, you cut. If you look below, it says cut, brackets, Control X. Whoops, sorry about that. There it is. And the way I look at it is, I look at the X as being a scissors. So if I use the keyboard shortcut and hold the Control key down, that's on the bottom left, and press X, it does the same as clicking in this X. But for the simplicity, I'm just going to click in the cut tool, and there it's gone. Now what I want to do is to put it up the top here where number 2 is. So I am going to paste it in there. So this is why it's called cut and paste. So I go up here and you can see this is paste. And the keyboard shortcut for that is Control V. And some people think, well, why is it V? Well, the answer is if you think of the word move, then it's the V in move. Okay, I know it's convoluted, but there we are. So Control V, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to click on the paste board. There we go. Oh, look what's happened. I've pasted it in, but the end of the paste is number 2, and number 2 has now been included in number 1. So I'm just going to press the Enter key to move this little cursor to the next line. There we go. So using cut and paste, I moved 1 to 2 to its right position. 1, 2, oh, 3 is missing. So I got to do the same thing, except this time I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut. So I'll gather it all together. Control X, remember it's like a scissors. Control X, cut it, and it's position 3. Now I'm going to avoid having that little mess of things being joined together. So I'm going to press there and Control V, Think of V as meaning move. Control V, and there we are. So I've got 1, 2, 3 correct now. And now a number 4. Highlight all that. Control X. And I'm going to put that in the right position. There it is. That's where I want it to go. And Control V. There you go. So I put those in the right order. Now, don't forget, I could have used the scissors, Control X, and the paste. You notice the scissors is grayed out. In other words, you can't see it. It's very, very faint gray. And that's because nothing's selected. You can't you can't cut something if it isn't selected. So as soon as I select something, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to show you. I'm going to select something. As soon as I've done that, you see, now I've got something to cut. So it's no longer grayed out. Let's click back in there to get rid of it. And you see it's grayed out. Good. So there we are. That's the first section. Cutting and pasting. Now there's another way of moving. Fortunately, down the bottom here, I've got some more tips that I can put in there. But before I do that, I'm going to save this. Now I don't want to overwrite the stuff, the hints and tips that was all jumbled up, because I want to keep that for next time. So I'm going to go over here to the save tool. I am not going to click on it, because if I do, it'll simply replace the jumbled up stuff I had with the new version. So I'm going to go to save as, and that involves clicking on this little downward arrow, this little black downward arrow just to the right of the save tool. Click on that and it says save as. So this gives me the opportunity of giving it a different name. So there we go. So there's hints and tips and tricks. Tips and tricks is there again, but no, this is not tips. I don't want to replace it. I'm going to add completed. So this is tips and tricks with everything put right. So there we are. So tips and tricks completed, and I click on save on the bottom right here, and boom. So there we are. I've got it completed. It's not going to interfere with the other stuff. Okay, so this bit's done, the word processing guidelines. But down here we've got word processing tips. So I'm going to highlight that. Again, I could have cut it. I'm not going to cut it. I've highlighted that, and I want to make that bold as well. So there we are. Click on bold. Okay, so again, this is in a bit of a mess. Use the following tips to create word processing documents easier. Okay, well, they're in a mess. When changing settings in a dialog box, dialog. See, in red there, it's underlined, because that's because the American spelling. So I'm going to right click on that and put the proper spelling in there. You know what the Americans are like. There's another one there. I should have dialog. Okay, Americans can't spell. They never learned really. Okay, so there we are. Word processing tips. Use the following. Again, lots of useful tips here. Get the kids to read it. Go through this exercise with them and get them to read it. Okay, so now I'm going to use a slightly different technique. I'm going to highlight all this. Now I could use cut and paste as we did before, but I'm going to use a different technique. I am going to, while I've got the cursor, that's this little, I don't know what you call it, little line thing. I'm going to move into the highlighted text, and I'm going to hold it down. And when I move, you see I got this bit of script coming in there. And I'm going to move to the front of 3. Can you see the line there going across? It's a little bit difficult to see. Move it just to the front of 3 and let go. And there we are. See what I had before. It sort of got confused. So I'm going to click, by the 3 and press enter. So I highlighted and dragged the text and dropped it. So this is drag and drop. Last time we looked at cut and paste. This time we're looking at drag and drop. Now I'm going to just, before I do this, I don't want to get that problem again. So I'm going to click there. So that's where I'm going to drag it to. Number 2. So highlight number 2. It's highlighted. I can let go of the mouse button and hold the mouse pointer down in there while I'm moving it, the left mouse pointer, and drag it up to that place and let go. And there we go. Drag and drop. And the last one, I knew I had a number 4 somewhere. Right, highlight it all. Let's do that again. I move into the front of the 4, holding the left button down and then dragging it. You notice as long as I don't let go of it, I can even go up here and do things. Oops, I accidentally pressed the right button, or the mouse button got caught on my keyboard. So let's do it again. There we are. Highlight that and move into the gray bit, for want of a better expression, the highlighted text. Press and hold and drag this up to there. Can you see the little arrow? It's difficult to see sometimes. I think you can see it there. Not arrow, vertical lines. Let go. There we are. Now, oh dear, this has drifted on to another page because of the way I've been messing about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tidy it up by just getting rid of a couple of these spaces. So let's start here. I am going to go in there. Now there's 2 things I could do here to delete this line. The little funny symbol you see there is the end of line marker. I'm trying to think what it's called. I can't remember. But it looks like a backward P. In fact, actually, interestingly, it is a very early piece of text. It was written in some of the biblical scripts. It actually means the end of a paragraph. So you can imagine those monks years and years ago all transcribing the Bible from Greek into Latin probably, and using these little markers to show the end of a line. It begins with P. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, so what can I do? Well, there are 2 keys on the keyboard that I can use to get rid of that line. The first one is the backspace. If you look at your keyboard, usually on the top right, there's an arrow pointing to the left, and that's called the backspace arrow. So if I press that, it deletes to the left, so that you can't see what it's deleted, but it has deleted to the left, and so it's moved the text up a little bit. The alternative to the backspace is delete. Usually it's written as delete or del, and if I find that key on the keyboard and press it, it removes it. So let's have a little look, see if it looks tidier. Yeah, it's come back into the fold, as it were. Oops, I don't like that there. I'm just tidying it up, so I'm going to use the delete key to get rid of that. Bump, there you go. Does that look all right? Yeah, not too bad. Okay, so that's it. That's cut and paste, drag and drop. And that's what this session is about. Let's save it. Now I can click on save now because if you remember, it's tips and tricks complete. And if you go up to the title bar here, tips and tricks completed .odt, open document text, LibreOffice Writer. That's on the title bar. Down here at the bottom, page 1 of 1, 385 words, 2,177 characters. It's quite a lot. This little symbol here means, the little red dot means, oh, don't forget you haven't saved your work. It's been modified and you haven't saved it. That's the same as the green circle with the white star in it. So I'll click on that. Badoosh. There you go. It's saved. Now, the only thing for me to do now is to pass tips and tricks on to you, which I will do via Telegram. Okay, thanks for watching. See you again. Simple screen recorder. I just love this. Bye.